Hi, everyone.
Right.
Hopefully you can hear us. Go ahead, Hudson. Do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, sure. So everyone, again, welcome to the Public Steering Committee meeting for Jakarta EE. So I think I'll hand it over to Tanya now to get things started. If you have any
Okay.
questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and we will get there at the end.
Oh, it's exciting. I already see that we have about 7 questions, so please keep them coming. We do have a steering committee members attending this call. We did create a short presentation that I will switch to, and we'll go over this. Right now on the screen you have, well, let's start with me, Tanya Obradovic, and then you have Ivar here. Grimstad, you have Kevin Sutter and Paul Lyons. And yeah, we will be welcoming others as well. So without further ado, just because this is relatively short meeting, I want to jump right into a presentation, but at the same time invite you to post your questions, and we will be either chatting or answering your questions as we go along. So Kevin, I think we wanted you to talk about Jakarta EE9 as you're leading the effort there. So if you want to take it over.
Okay. Yes. Okay, good. Hi, this is Kevin Sutter, and I've been the release lead for Jakarta EE9. And just because I'm not sure where everybody's at, from a background perspective, I want to start a little bit earlier with Jakarta EE. How did we get here with Jakarta EE9? So just very quickly, if you go back a couple, 3 years, we had Java EE8 and we had Glassfish 5.0, and that was the reference implementation for Java EE8. Then we moved forward, and we last fall, about this time, we came out with Jakarta EE8. And at that time, we wanted the existing application servers to easily move up to Jakarta EE8. And so Eclipse Glassfish 5.1 became let's see, we lost the presentation. There we go. So Eclipse Glassfish 5.1 became one of the compatible implementations for Jakarta EE8. So in addition to Eclipse Glassfish, I know Open Liberty, Pyara, Wildfly, there were several other compatible implementations that came along for Jakarta EE8. So that was kind of the baseline just to get to that point. Now with Jakarta EE9, we have had to change the namespace. So Java X is no longer available, and we had to move to the Jakarta namespace. Now this release is a little bit more work, and there's going to be requirements to change the various compatible implementations. So we've got Eclipse Glassfish that will be a compatible implementation for Jakarta EE9, and other ones will eventually come along. So that just kind of shows the progression of Java EE up through Jakarta EE8 and Jakarta EE9. Okay, next chart. So I mentioned already that I'm driving the release from a specification and API standpoint, and Steve Millage from Pyara has been driving the Glassfish compatible implementation effort. Now, of course, there's a lot of different people that are involved in this release, and it's across all the different organizations, all across the different specifications. So there's a lot of participation and a lot of work going into it. As I mentioned, the big thing for Jakarta EE9 is the change from Java X to Jakarta. Now, we've also done a few other things where there are a few technologies that really were either already deprecated or no longer in use. And so those were removed from Jakarta EE9. We also added a few additional features because some of the technologies were removed from Java SE 11. And so we had to add those back into the Jakarta fold. And then we marked a couple of items as being optional. And so This just gives you an overview of what we're doing for Jakarta EE9. Next chart. So where the best place, there's multiple places to actually look to find out where we're at for a status for Jakarta EE9. But from my viewpoint, if you want a quick overview of where we're at, our project board is probably the best place. Now, the picture here is a snapshot. I just updated it this morning because our numbers changed overnight. So every day, this has the potential to change. And what these three columns indicate, and I'm going to start over there on the right-hand side, the ratified final specification. These specifications have already been through all the reviews, all the approvals, been through the official ballot with the specification committee, and they are 100% done. They are completed. So if you look at the number there, excluding the note card at the top, there's 12 of the specifications that are completely done. We have another 10, now the middle column, another 10 that are actively in ballot. So they have completed all of the work required, and now we're going through a 2-week ballot process. And so all of those in the middle column are in that ballot process. Some of them are completing even tomorrow and over the next week to 10 days. So that's the middle column. Now the column on the left, that's one that identifies the specifications that still need some work. Now, 5 of those specifications are associated with the platform. So the platform has several of them that are going to be put to ballot at the same time. So I've kind of separated those off into a, I'll just say the last possible ballot window. But in order for those to be ready, we need the other specifications done. So if we look at that number, that means that there's about 8 or 9 specifications that have to be done by the end of next week. So we have to get them to ballot by next Friday. And I think, what was that, October 23rd, I think?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So that's the goal for completing all of the, or getting all the specifications in place so that then we've got those ballots done, and then that will feed into the platform spec, and we can do the platform ballot shortly thereafter, and we would be all ready for our November 20th date, which is the next chart. There we go. So that's what our goal has been, is to complete Jakarta EE9 by November 20th. So that means everything has to be done from a specification standpoint. And so that's all the specifications, all the APIs, all the TCKs, and at least one compatible implementation. Now we know that Eclipse Glassfish will be there because that's what we're using. And there may be others. I'm not aware of any that will be available on day 1 for Jakarta EE9, but I know that there's several that are being worked that should be ready, shortly thereafter. Just throw out one highlight. I did just yesterday, I did a new RC3 for the APIs for the platform and web profile. This came up on our, I think it was a platform call a couple weeks ago or last week. And so I released another RC3. So in case you're interested, pretty close to being ready, but there's still a few specs that need to be updated, but it's a lot better than the one that we did back in June. And so all of this is in preparation for the grand announcement on December 8th at the Jakarta One live stream. And so that's where we plan to announce Jakarta EE9. That's on December 8th. So that's it for my quick update.
Okay, and then I'll tell you just a little bit about Jakarta One live stream. And basically, I will switch. So this is like a summary of Jakarta One live streams throughout 2020. But I also want to switch to our Jakarta EE website and show you where you can actually go and find all this information about Jakarta One live stream. So we have a dedicated little space for Jakarta One live stream events. and all of our events are actually listed here. You can see that we just finished Jakarta One live stream. Well, actually, we had one very successful one last year, celebrating Jakarta EE8 release. But after that, we had Jakarta One live stream Japan, then Jakarta One live stream in Portuguese, Jakarta One live stream Brazil on August 29th. And we just finished yesterday very successful Jakarta One live stream in Spanish. We had I believe over 100 attendees. So, the event is becoming very popular in regional languages, as well as the one that a yearly event that we're doing in English. Right now, here is how you can access the page that will be dedicated to Jakarta One live stream 2020 in celebration of the Jakarta EE9 release. Call for papers was closed recently, and right now the event is open for registration. You can see the program committee here, and we're working very hard to shortly publish the program plan and get you interested to register and be part of the event as well. So going back to presentation, I have provided the link here. Please register. But I also want to draw your attention. Next week, we're starting with EclipseCon 2020, where we will have a community day that is dedicated to Jakarta EE and microprofile. But throughout the conference, there will be also talks related to Jakarta EE. So right now, so that is everything I wanted to share on the call today, and I would like to turn over to Ivar, who will kind of start the discussion going with regards to Jakarta EE10. Ivar, do you want to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. So I'll talk a little bit about Jakarta EE10. And what I'll do is more or less just throw out some topics. Nothing has been decided yet. And please ask questions, and we can have some discussion around whether it makes sense or not. So the first thing I want to say about Jakarta EE10 is actually Jakarta EE9.1. And this hasn't really been decided either, but we are... since we had to drop the Java 11 support on Jakarta EE9, we are looking into releasing a Jakarta EE9.1 release as soon as possible after 9 to support Java SE 11. And this is, as far as I know, the first time it's ever been done a dot release in Java EE or Jakarta EE. So that's kind of a new thing as well. So why not try it? And more information will come around this as we go. Next slide, please. Another thing we're looking into is to see if we can set some stable release cadence for Jakarta EE. And there are two models out there that are usually used, and that is the feature-based release cadence. That is, we define a set of features that we want to have delivered, and whenever they're done, we release. Or it's the time-based model, which is kind of the most well-known in our community, is the Java SE releases, which has a 6-month release cadence, and they ship on every 6 months, no matter if they have anything or not. And we're not looking into any 6-month release cadence. I think that would be too offensive, but something else. Maybe a year or something, and that is kind of up to whatever the community and the working group decide. We also want to look at the next slide, please, with Java SE versions, and maybe set some some plan on to have some predictability around which SE versions can you expect to be supported by the next version of Jakarta EE, so we don't end up in situations where we have to drop a release because of some reason. So if we can have some sort of roadmap and look ahead and have some predictability, for example, we always support or require the latest LTS release or something like that. Next slide, please. One of the most important things we're looking at is to decouple the specifications, or actually it's decouple the test suite that we use to verify the specifications, so that we can more easily release these specifications independently and test them. And this will kind of enable us to build some sort of release train that I talked about earlier. And next slide, please. One obvious thing that we also need to figure out is how to use the excellent specifications made by Microprofile. And it could be as easy as we say that, hey, the configuration support in Jakarta EEX is Microprofile config version something, and just consume that specification, and that's it. But it's something that has to be decided and discussed. So that was some topics I just threw up here, and it's open discussion, so anybody can join. We just have to drop some of us off here. So Tanya, you can drop this slideshare, and then we can bring David.
Yes, absolutely.
I've actually had 1 hour of Crowdcast earlier today, the Studio Jakarta EE, which was also a part of J4K, and I hadn't planned anything. I had no slides or anything. I had a couple of slides, but my plan was to bring in people from the audience and have them chat with me. But nobody wanted to join me on screen, so I was sitting there for 1 hour talking by myself. So I guess it's a pretty boring recording. If you're gonna look up something at YouTube, well, I probably wouldn't recommend that one, but it's an experience.
Okay. So we have some noise in the background.
Yeah, I think that might be me. I'll try.
Okay, it's not David, so.
Let's see, it might be Kevin. It was Kevin. Sorry, Kevin.
But regardless who it was, I think we can focus on having questions answered. And let's see, maybe we can see questions from the, oh, okay. Look at this, all the questions are answered. So we really need some discussion here with the audience.
Yeah, so if there are any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. But I guess we can even answer some of the ones that have already been answered by Will in the chat. So regarding one question, let's go with, can I try out Jakarta EE9 implementations today? Does anyone want to re-answer that just for the video?
I'll do the first half. So Eclipse Glassfish builds are available. Am I?
Yep, you're coming through.
Okay, great. So Eclipse Glassfish is not Jakarta EE9 compatible yet because the specs have not passed, but the builds are available and you can download it and try it out. Kevin, you've got another answer here.
Yeah, so I, besides Glassfish, I know Apache has, come out with various versions of some of their software. Tommy, they also have early versions. The one that I highlighted here is Open Liberty. I know we're doing monthly betas, and it has functionality for Jakarta EE9. So I know that there's several other, implementations that are in the works, but like Will just mentioned, until we go final, with Jakarta EE9, nobody else is going to be compliant, but there's plenty to experiment with.
Yeah, and one of the cool thing also is that some of the projects you're talking about are not aiming to be Jakarta EE compatible. So you have Tomcat and Jetty, for example, that implement Servlet. And so you can already try out Servlet 5 features in Tomcat milestone releases, and as well as Eclipse Jetty.
Yeah, Jetty 11 is the one that supports the Jakarta namespace, and Tomcat 10 also. So it's up to like milestone 6 at this time, maybe 7 by now.
Sounds good. Another question. Thank you, Ivar, for posting that resource. So has planning for Jakarta EE10 already started? I believe, Ivar, you touched on this in the presentation a little bit.
Yeah, so all focus now is on Jakarta EE9. So we cannot take too much focus of that to discuss Jakarta EE10, but we have decided in the platform project team to put Jakarta EE10 as a standing agenda item. So whenever we have time at the end of the call, which doesn't happen too often, but if we have, then our plan is to discuss some Jakarta EE10.
All right, and we'll get a little more general here. So for anyone who happens to watch this recording afterwards, how can they get involved with Jakarta EE?
So at the risk of repeating what I've already typed, so the Jakarta EE ambassadors community worked with some of the spec leads and spec project teams to put together a guide to contributing to Jakarta EE10. I'm hearing an echo, it's very distracting. Some specific suggestions would be join the mailing lists. You can reach out to the project teams and get involved and start contributing ideas. If you've got a specific feature request, we recommend suggesting that on the mailing list. And if you want to actually contribute code, you will need to become a member of the Eclipse Foundation. And there is a link there providing you with instructions on how to become a committer and a contributor.
Yeah, and other ways you can get involved is that if you're running a Java user group or a meetup of some kind, we have the Adopt a Spec program. And basically, it means that you send a pull request to the webpage and get listed with your logo type under the specification you are interested in. And this is a good marketing opportunity for your jug. You get your logo out there. And also, when you put an email on the spec mailing list and say, hey, I'm supporting this spec, do you want to speak in my jug? I'm pretty sure that somebody from that project team will jump on it and help you get speakers in the jug.
All right, thank you. So I think we don't have any other questions in the audience at this point, so we can wrap it up with the most important question of all. Can we expect public steering committee calls in the future?
Hopefully, yes.
Sounds good.
Yeah, there is a poll there, that is asking that same question. So anybody who's on the call, if you are interested in these type of conversations, please vote on that poll. I think it's only had 2 people so far.
Yes,
do you think it's useful?
Do I? Or who? Someone else?
Yeah. You're the one asking questions, right?
I think it would be a great idea to have more in the future.
I concur.
All right, perfect. Well, I think, Tanya, if it's okay with you, we will wrap it up here. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today, and thank you to anyone in the audience who joined us. And yeah, we hope to have more of this to bring you soon.
Okay. Thanks so much, everyone, and we'll be in touch.